So in this video, let's have a detailed look at the differences between the Fast Attack vehicle and the Wild one, Tamiya Brothers. Hey guys, welcome back to Tamiya Legends, and once again, thank you for stopping by. So I've been asked quite a lot what the differences are between the FAV and the Wild one. So now I've got them both together, I thought this was like a perfect opportunity to double them up and make a quick video regarding the differences and my take on what Tamiya did. So straight off the bat, we've got the Fast Attack vehicle, which was 58046 and was released on December 84. Gorgeous looking car. But only 10 months after that, in September 85, came the Wild one on 58050. So model Tamiya RC car number 46 and number 50 in 10 months. There's only 10 months between them. I found that quite interesting because the first thing I picked up on was, well, that means Tamiya released 3 cars in between this one and that one. So I just had a look to see what those cars were. So this is why I always call that the golden era of RC. And that's not just Tamiya, that's other manufacturers as well. But they were so busy back in the day creating these wonderful pieces of vintage goodness. But as I say, 10 months between them, number 46, number 50. So before I tell you what 3 cars came in, stick it in comments if you know. So, as I said, December 84, model number 46, Fast Attack vehicle. Then came the Hot Shot. Then came the Bruiser. Then came the Toyota Tom's Le Mans car. And then the Wild one. Isn't that incredible? That blew me away, that. And it really makes me want to, I keep saying to myself that I'm going to do a video on the first 100 and break them down into like 1 to 10, 10 to 20 and so on. Because if I do that, I'm going to find out more interesting information like that. I mean, I don't know if you're interested in that. I love the Tamiya timeline. I find it really interesting. So let's get cracking and let's get these cars, let's get the camera close to them and let's see what the differences are. Right, so what we're looking at first of all, the Fast Attack vehicle is around about 80% original from back in the day. The Wild one is full re-re from 2012, I believe. But again, on the Wild one re-re, not a lot changed, to be honest. So we can use this as a fair comparison. So obviously, it's visually completely different. You've got the Fast Attack vehicle, which is obviously a military vehicle. You've got the machine gun and what have you. Now, the obvious things to look at straight away, although the shape's really similar, the wheels and tyres changed. The sidebars, Wild one doesn't have the sidebars. This is like the hard shell, but it's only really got the front bonnet, which is hard plastic, whereas the Wild one is full polycarbonate shell and the roof as well. Suspension, as you can see straight away. So the Fast Attack, although this hasn't got the correct springs on for any eagle-eyed of you, but as you can see, the Fast Attack vehicle was friction shocks all around. Wild one, oil dampers all around. And the Wild one had a much more beefed up shock towers, as you can see. The FAV have got these little ones kind of tucked away, which kind of suits the style, but we got a lot more sort of travel on the Wild one. Even the driver figures, you know, again, completely different. A lot more detail on this one, as you would expect, because it's a military vehicle. So the biggest changes are all visual, and obviously it was a huge improvement. Now, I believe there are some gearbox changes, but I've not really researched that. I know I should have done. But the original Fast Attack vehicle, and this one has them, didn't have dog bone drive shafts. It had, the drive shafts had hexes on the end of it, which obviously meant the two drive cups, or the two pairs of drive cups, were hexes instead of the dog bone layout. So I would be very interested if any of you guys know, if you could leave in the comments, if the original Wild one had the hex drive shafts. I'm pretty certain the Wild one went to dog bone after when it was released, but I'd be very interested about that. Obviously when these both were re-read, it came with dog bones, which I guess are more efficient. Right, let's have a look. So both cars from the back end, very, very similar, as you can see. The whole framework was the same, all the mountings were the same. Pretty difficult to tell, but the metal brackets here, this frame bridge that bolts the gearbox down, this is like a sort of silver stainless colour, where the original was this sort of dark metal. Obviously the Fav had the two lights on the back, but I say the whole shape of the gearbox and the mounting of it was identical. Obviously the Wild one had much more beefier wheels and tyres on, which I liked because it kind of gave it a better stance. So obviously from the front, again, very similar, same bumpers. The obvious change that I can see is the colour of these metal bars. I believe that's an original because I had that new in pack when I built this car, so I believe that was a colour, but we changed it to this dark sort of metal colour on the Wild one. Now I think there you can just see the difference in front suspension. It's a massive difference. Travel wise, you know, you had these little pogo sticks, again not much movement, and then on the Wild one, again the movement's not great, but it's way smoother. Now one interesting fact is that the original Fast Attack vehicle front arms were shorter, a lot narrower than the original Wild one, and obviously they made it wider on the Wild one. Now interestingly, I found out that the front arms that I've built this with are re-re, possibly from the Wild one re-re of the Fast Attack vehicle, I'm not sure, but the width of the front wheels are identical on these, and it actually shouldn't be. As I said, I'm kind of saying this is around about 80% original. Right, just before we get into it and we take the shells off and what have you to see what the insides look like, what I did forget to say was, although the wheels and tyres completely changed, the old Fast Attack vehicles were the 3-piece with 5 screws and nuts in each to build them, whereas the Wild one were obviously 1-piece with the Super Gripper rear tyres and fronts, I call them Super Grippers as well. Right, let's whiz the bodies off and we'll have a look at the driver figures. So as I said, these front parts of the chassis are identical. Now obviously colour's different. This comes in this colour here. I don't know if you can see it, the wheel adapters. Now I haven't fitted the steering mounts. That's the only thing missing. Obviously the front body mount on the Wild one. So the Wild one polycarbonate shell has 1 body pin and 2 brackets to fasten it down, whereas it's 4 big screws for the front of the Fast Attack vehicle, but you don't have a roof where you do with the Wild one. Interestingly, the wheel adapters are completely different, which again you would expect. Now let's just bring the camera down slightly and have a look at these driver units. Now again, Fast Attack vehicle, hard plastic. The Wild one is a polycarbonate driver figure, obviously not nearly as much detail on. This is a special cockpit for me just because of the detail you're allowed to do. Now unfortunately they've both got the same issue. To take the driver figures out to get to your electrics, you have to slacken off these 2 screws at the front to lift, to give you a bit of movement on this frame, just so you can get them out. So we'll do that next because I want to show you the battery boxes. Right, so as you can see, I know the black's not coming across very well, but the whole mould is almost the same. There's a cutout here, which is probably for your battery wires to come through, where it doesn't have it on the Fast Attack vehicle. Now the Fast Attack vehicle, you actually had to cut your speed controller wires and thread them through a little hole and then rejoin them underneath. It was a real pain to do, but obviously on the Wild one they cured that. So the chassis from there looks very similar. Now I just want to show you quickly So obviously this is a fast attack vehicle cockpit. Now it's quite heavy. It's heavier than I would have expected. Now what they did is they did it in two parts, because obviously this is, when this was released in '84, you had your 4 AA batteries that powered your radio gear. So the way they did it, take this out. So they had this cover, and your batteries went in this department here, and then that just, I'll try to do this without scratching it, and then that sat there, and then once your driver figure went in, so I'll show you this lip here was for an elastic band. So once the driver figure went in, the elastic band went from behind over this box, and there's another clip at the back, and that used to hold this lid on, which is pretty crazy really. Now the Wild one, they got rid of that. Again, not sure if they did on the original. I'm pretty sure they did. So you still had the same mould, but obviously on the polycarbonate driver figure, they put the cover on the back already. So you can see that's the difference, and that's way lighter than the fast attack one, which you would expect. Now the main differences from the chassis are underneath, so let's have a quick look at that. So this is the biggest chassis difference by far on these two cars. So the fast attack vehicle had this full battery enclosure. It had this special, difficult to see, but there's a little clip here, let's see if I can do this, which you push away from it, and that clips off, and then that allows you to lift the cover up and then slide out. So that's how the battery went in. That's the little clip there. I don't know if you could see it. It just moves and then clips in. So let's put it back in, and then push that down. That clips in, and then you just get your little bracket and you let it clip, and that was your battery in. Whereas obviously on the Wild one, they went for this FRP little plate, one body pin that holds it down. Again, I don't know if we can show you this. The problem is, well, it's not a problem, it's just a bit tricky to get that pin out, but there we go. So pin out, that lifts up and pulls out. So that is completely different. Is it better? I've no idea. Never really thought of it like that. But it's certainly easier. Thing as well is, because this is all painted, as soon as you start moving that, it takes the paint straight off, which I got a little bit frustrated with. I'll put that back later. And obviously, as I said, you can see the difference in the wheel adapters. They're completely different, and the colour of this metal bracket. Again, original. So I'm pretty sure I've covered everything. But no doubt some of you eagle-eyed will have noticed I've missed some things, so bang it in the comments for me. As I say, I'm always eager to learn. One thing I should have said, and I don't think I did at the beginning, they both run differentials. A lot of the earlier Tamiyas, Subaru, Brat and things like that, it was fixed drive, but the fast attack vehicle had the differential. What's my favourite one of the two? Wild one, hands down. What's the best looking one? It's tough, isn't it? If you're into your army stuff and detail and sort of scale models, then this wins hands down. But I do think the Wild one's a very pretty two-wheel drive buggy. It's one of my favourites. It's in my top 5 two-wheel drive buggies of all time, because of its looks. I just enjoy it, and there's a lot you can do to customise it. Maybe I'm put off by this one slightly, because every time I touch it, some paint chips off. So I'm getting more and more frustrated with this thing. I'd finished it, and just as I was building it back up for this video, the bloody driver's left arm fell off, and that's super glued on. And I'm like, ugh. So I've glued it back on, but it's so frustrating. In fact, looking at it now, I'm gonna take it off, because that's not right. I need to look at that. And that's every time I go to this. Now I know it's almost all original, but it's just a little bit frustrating. It'd be a nightmare to run this thing. But for me, that's a shelf queen. So anyway, guys, I know this video was a little bit different. I hope you enjoyed it. But I'll end it here. So once again, guys, thanks so much for watching. It's really appreciated. If you are new to this channel, if you could please consider liking and subscribing to support us. And if you do that, please smash that notification buzzer for our weekly videos. And as always, guys, happy arseeing.